Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shadow at Night. This is Sunday night. It's July the 28th, 2024. I have some breaking urgent news for you. This was released about an hour ago by our friend Right Blend, formerly known as Patriot Smoothie, on his social media accounts. Breaking urgent news, please share. Pat King completed his trial on Friday. Right Blend has been doing a fantastic job of getting that news out to us day by day, breaking down the moments of each day in the trial, and hopefully we get some kind of verdict before too long. But we're hearing, because it's a judge trial and not a jury trial, it's going to be maybe October or even November before we hear what happens to Pat King. Unlike the Coots trial, which could have a verdict as early as next week. We don't know. Anyway, Pat King completed his trial on Friday. The Crown, as per usual, is being difficult and has decided to breach Pat. They're breaching him. Breach of bail. Pat King is expected to be arrested as soon as tomorrow. Following a messy breakup, Pat's ex and her mom have worked with the Crown privately and decided to drop their surety, leading to Pat being breached. All right, so I understand that breakups can be messy. I've been through a few of those myself, and I'll tell you this. Anger, bitterness, that is absolutely par for the course in a bad breakup like that. But we're talking about a man's life here. We're a guy who has already done significant time behind bars, and now because you're mad at him, you're going to take away his surety and probably send him back to jail. That's outrageous. I would ask you, if you know the ex or the ex is watching right now, to please reconsider your decision. Anyway, Right Blend goes on to say, we're asking for your help in sharing this information before the legacy media does tomorrow, and they will. They're likely to bend the truth or refrain from giving the real reason, implying Pat has been in breach when he hasn't breached in 2 years. Right Blend goes on to say, I personally heard the Crown say Pat King hasn't breached his bail just a few short days ago in court. So that's available on my ex, Right Blend's ex, and on my Facebook, and the same with Right Blend's Facebook. So if you guys have a moment to share that, I would absolutely appreciate it. Pat would. We all would. Because, you know, even if the surety has been removed by an angry ex-girlfriend, okay, that's fine. That's one thing. But for the Crown to jump on an opportunity like this just because they can brings us to a whole new level of banana republic. Canada's not supposed to be like this. I mean, we know what the charges against Pat are. They're mischief and they're, what is it, conspiracy to counsel mischief. Now, some people, mischief, well, that's a huge charge. It's not. Up until the last couple of years, mischief has been whatever. Kids setting off firecrackers in a back alley or something. And considering the fact the federal government was found to be in breach of our Constitution back in January for declaring the Emergencies Act, you would think that maybe anything that has to do with the Freedom Convoy would have been dropped by the Crown a long, long time ago. But nope. So we'll keep you posted as to what happens with Pat. And hopefully he doesn't get arrested. And if he doesn't, we could maybe get him on tomorrow and see what the situation was in more detail. Hello, we see a Suds. October 4th, we see a Suds. Why Saya? These Rumble handles, I don't know. Anyway, October 4th apparently is going to be the decision for Pat. 1800 Wake the F Up is watching tonight. I like the Rumble handles. We Be Jammin's watching tonight. Esky Dogs, I think I said that one already. Who else is here? Lexus 400H, Mustang Sandy, Mommy's Little Monster 76, Amnesty, Patricia, Tangos. All the regulars are on Rumble tonight. Don't forget, guys, to give it the thumbs up if you can. It gets it out there to the 100 million strong Rumble community in a bigger and better way. Who else is here watching tonight? Let me see. Chuck is watching tonight on Facebook. Hello, Carla. Watching on Facebook. Yes, there are two sides to every story, that's for sure. But again, you know, I mean, taking away a guy's surety, like, whoa, he must have done something pretty terrible. Linda's watching tonight in Ontario. Hello, Mike, watching on YouTube. It's about time us Christians make a stand. Yeah, big backlash when it comes to the Olympics, and we'll tell you more about that. That's one of the lead stories tonight. Rosemary is watching in Cloverdale, BC. Hello, Barbara in Glenora. Julie is watching tonight. Yeah, it's been quite a couple of weeks, hasn't it? Christine is watching as well, and there she went. Boom, just like that. Wayne is watching on X tonight. Wayne and Patty in Norwich, Ontario. Like and share, you guys. Reshare and heart. Let's get this out to as many people as we possibly can. Please and thank you very much. The Shadow at Night live stream is brought to you by, I almost said Tacit Investigations and Security. No. Jeff Stone says he may come back on the show at some point soon. You never know. Canada Nano Silver, CanadaNanoSilver.ca. The toothpaste coming in multiple flavors: cinnamon, spearmint, and bubbleberry. Naturally whitening, helps keep teeth clean with triple action nano silver. Silverceuticals technology is made from only the highest quality ingredients. This unique toothpaste is kid safe and uses powerful natural ingredients. Triple action nano silver helps clean teeth and promotes healthy teeth and gums. Then above ground mind coral calcium helps to scrub and remineralize your teeth, and it actually does help with the whiteness as well. Again, 3 flavors: cinnamon, spearmint, and bubbleberry for the kids. They're going to want to brush their teeth, I swear to you, a dozen times a day. This and more of the great products available at CanadaNanoSilver.ca online. You can find retail locations near you. There are over 30 across the country. And if you'd like to become a retailer of these awesome products, get a hold of Kevin and Anna through the contact tab at CanadaNanoSilver.ca. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.ca. Sunday night shows are shorter. So for you people who watch only on social media, you will get the first half hour. I was a little bit late tonight, so around 8:35 or 8:40 Central Time, we'll be going directly to the extension for All Access members on shadowdavis.com. So if you're not an All Access member on the website, go ahead and join up. It's cheap, and you get all kinds of extra content, including the stuff we've got for you tonight, which I find rather interesting. What did they do to the protesters in the UK? There was the big Tommy Robinson-led "We Want Our Country Back" protests. I think that's what Tamara Leach is over there for right now. She played at a concert there yesterday or maybe the day before. I've got to get her back on the show. It's been a while. And yeah, thousands of people show up, and the police were beating up some of the people who just went to the rally because they said they wanted their country back. We've got video of that to play for you. Also, which is the latest company to be discovered to go woke? We have that expose coming up in the extension tonight. All right, so let's get on with the show here. Danielle Smith almost coming to tears during a Jasper press conference over the weekend. Let's watch.
In the last day or so, we have all seen on the news and social media the horrific pictures and videos coming out of Jasper. Homes and businesses have been lost to a wildfire that people are calling a wall of flames. There is no denying that this is the worst nightmare for any community. Right now, the wildfire is still out of control, and crews are working in dangerous conditions to try and protect critical infrastructure in the town. We're seeing potentially 30 to 50% structural damage. To give you some idea, I mean, you've seen the images as I have. We don't know particularly which structures have been damaged and which ones have been destroyed, but that's going to be a significant rebuild and significant displacement for a long period of time. For many generations, the town of Jasper and the parks surrounding it have been a source of pride, with some of the most beautiful scenery in the entire in the world. Our grandparents visited to experience the majesty of this place with its mountains and lakes and meadows. And to those in Alberta and around the world who have experienced the magic of Jasper, the magic is not lost, and it never will be. Alberta's government will provide the support needed to families and community to recover and to rebuild stronger than ever so that future generations can continue to experience this one-of-a-kind community and to feel the magic of being able to come home.
That came from The Guardian, by the way, in the UK, and reason for
learning
that.
that
Hang on just a
scientists
second
and
here. Hold on. That came from The Guardian in the UK because the left-wing corporate media in Canada would never, ever want you to see Danielle Smith's soft side. I know how she feels. I mean, I'm sure if you're a regular viewer of the show here, you've seen me talk about some very difficult subjects. And, you know, we've had some people on this show who have been injured by that mRNA formula. They're never going to walk again. Some of them may never be able to move their face again. It's been a tough haul. And so, yes, it's difficult sometimes to hold back the tears. You don't want to in front of thousands of people, but sometimes you just have no choice. You have to. Why did I want to play this video? It's 10 years old. It comes from CBS News, and it's about lasers influencing the weather. I still haven't heard any serious investigations from the authorities about how these fires in Jasper started. I'm sure that they're being told not to say anything because the government's going to go with the climate change narrative. I'm talking about the federal government here, not the provincial government. We know that people last year in Alberta and Quebec were arrested and charged with setting these fires with arson. And it's my estimation they'll probably find the arsonists involved in this one before too long as well. But that will be a subheading on some news site and maybe mentioned in the last minute of a 11 o'clock newscast on a local news channel somewhere in Red Deer or Lethbridge, because the government's going to want to make it about climate change. I was sent a picture a couple of days ago from residents in Jasper and somebody who was visiting there last week. Now, I'm not sure, not a picture, several pictures. I'm not sure if it's all the same shot that people were sending me and they were just, resending the same picture over and over again. It looked to be different angles and whatnot. What I'm getting at here is the picture was of some object in the sky over Jasper. Now, obviously, it's grainy, the picture is. It's blurry. You can't make out anything. It could have been anything. Could have been a meteor. It could have been something. But you guys know what they've been doing with weather control and climate control since the 1950s. You know, they've been spraying the skies with so many chemicals that our water is polluted, our farms, our grass, our plants, it's all polluted. I'm not going to sit here and start naming the chemicals because I only committed 5 or 6 to memory, and there's so many of them that, forget it, you can look that up yourself. I am working on getting a couple of pilots to come on the show, people who used to actually fly to spray this stuff in the United States, but there's some anonymity issues there, so that negotiation has been ongoing for some time. But let's go back to this video, this 10-year-old video. Dr. Mishu Kaku talking about weather modification, and remember that this video goes back to 2014. Watch.
Are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion,
No.
though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo jumbo. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So what does it mean for drought areas that need to have rain for crops? And if they don't have them, there's the consequences of famine.
Well, the bad news is if it's a clear blue sky, it's not going to do anything at all because it only takes water vapor that's already in the air and condenses it. However, for floods, for agriculture, farmers, for people planning wedding parties, football games, you name it, outdoor events and agriculture and flooding and even hurricanes, all of them could be subject to weather modification.
Incredibly interesting, Professor Michio Kaku. Thank you.
In the United States, copyright law allows for the fair use of copyright music.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to get to the Olympic Games opening ceremonies in just a second. So I'm not suggesting that Jasper was Hawaii'd last week. I'm alleging that something strange may have happened out there. And of course, the government is going to try and use it for climate change. See, look, if you don't pay that tax, look what's going to happen. The country's going to burn down. Our most famous institutions and parks, they're gone. So pay that tax. Let's get rid of the carbon. Net zero is the only answer. Electric cars. Everybody must own one by 2035. I'm sorry, that's wrong. I don't want to say that everybody must own an electric car by 2035. I'm saying that by 2035, the only kind of car you'll be able to buy will be electric. I suppose they'll grandfather in the old diesel engines and the old combustion engines, but you'll be shamed publicly if you drive one of those. You can bet, because they'll have the people trained real good by then. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit here. The godless 5-year plan. You guys have heard the story. Communism does not work unless they destroy religion first. You know what I'm getting to here in regards to the Olympic Games opening ceremonies last night. So this comes from history.com. The godless 5-year plan was instituted in Soviet Russia in 1928. It gave local cells of the anti-religious organization, the League of Militant Atheists, new tools to disestablish religion. Churches were closed and stripped of their property, as well as any educational or welfare activities that went beyond simple liturgy. Leaders of the church were imprisoned and sometimes executed on the grounds of being anti-revolution. The few clergy who remained were replaced by those deemed to be sympathetic to the regime, rendering the church still more toothless as a possible focal point for dissent or counter-evolution. There was a relatively simple idea at its heart of this plan, explains Madsen, the author of this piece. It was possible and desirable to eradicate traditional national consciousness in order to create a society based on the universal principles of socialism. More than that, the steps were replicable. The plan was eventually exported to other communist countries that had chosen to ally themselves with the USSR. On the grand social reforms and pro-atheism, publication sought to eliminate religion from day-to-day life altogether. Launched in 1929, the new Soviet calendar initially featured a 5-day continuous week designed to do away with weekends and so revolutionize the concept of labor. But it had a secondary function. By eliminating Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, the days of worship for Muslims, Jews, and Christians, The new calendar was supposed to render observance more trouble than it was worth. And there's on and on and on this article goes. Now, what's been going on in our country for the last few years? Churches have been burned down, and the government does nothing. Churches have been closing, and the government does nothing. Churches in the United States have been ripped from their tax-free status for no good reason. Now, people have been saying that should be the case for years. Churches should pay taxes. I say, yeah, probably, but it shouldn't be as much as everybody else because, I mean, come on, these people don't make a whole bunch of money. They are trying to do away with religion, my friends. That is one of the first steps towards bringing in this new world order. And so I'm not sure if you've seen video. It was pulled down because of copyright infringement on several social medias over the weekend. Libercat Media says, can someone, anyone, tell me what on earth drag queens have to do with the Olympics? Here is some video from the Olympic ceremonies. This is them mocking the Last Supper, by the way, from, I think, Friday night, was it? Let's watch.
Performing the song King, costumes, none other than Louis Vuitton.
Outrage. Outrage. People are very upset. I was beside myself with this. So the Paris Olympics have apologized after the backlash. And, you know, I posted about this on social all weekend long. And some people said, I really don't see the big deal. Well, then you either didn't see it or you don't believe in God, one or the other. There was a bunch of demonic symbolism as well. I think most people were noting that pale horse. And some were noting the headless singer singing a song there. And then, what's his name? Snoop Dogg with a medal of Beelzebub or a necklace of Beelzebub. There was a bunch of demonic symbolism, there is no doubt. But mocking the Last Supper. I'm sorry, man. Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior. You do not do that. God cannot be mocked. We know this. But what is it they are trying to prove here? They're trying to position themselves as the cool kids on the block, and anybody who is religious or believes in God or Jesus is a square. They are trying to get you to leave the church or to leave your religion or second guess your beliefs just so you can fit in with the cool kids, with the drag queens, with the non-binaries. And let's face it, we know they're not cool. That's what they're trying to do. Outside of the actual destruction of the churches, which gets absolutely zero coverage in the left-wing corporate media. So I'm hoping that people are now starting to see the connection in all of this. The Olympics is the world's largest stage. Billions of people were watching that the other night. Billions. Did the Paris Olympic Committee not realize this was going to upset people? Let's have a look at their apology here. The Paris Olympics apologizes to Christians for the Last Supper parody. The Paris 2024 organizers have issued an apology to Catholics and Christians over the drag queen parody of Jesus' Last Supper, which saw a scantily clad blue man singing, surrounded by men dressed as women. Clearly, there was never... Now, you see, this is a quote that tells me this is a sorry but not sorry. Clearly, there was never any intention to show disrespect to any religious group. The opening ceremony tried to celebrate community tolerance. Excuse me? What? No. That is not about community tolerance. That is about jamming it in our faces. And by the way, since when does a marginalized, like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction percentage of the population, supported by government and corporations all across the planet, monetarily, in any way you can think of. How are they marginalized exactly, and how is it they need to be tolerated when they keep jamming their junk in our faces, quite literally in some cases, when every time we walk through a door we see that ridiculous flag? How is it that we need to what are you doing? Exactly. You are testing the limits of patience. It's almost like you are goading. You keep poking the beast. You're poking the beast constantly. Like you want us to do something. You want us to organize and do something. That's how it seems. Clearly, there was never any intention to show disrespect to any religious group. You know there are billions of Christians across the planet. You knew what they would think, and you did it anyway. Or are we supposed to believe that the organizing committee of the Olympic Games that's been preparing for this event for years now didn't know what the world was going to see the other night in Paris? Oh, clearly there was never any intention. Yeah, there was. There absolutely was. They believe, though, that their ambition to celebrate community tolerance was achieved. Sorry, not sorry, right? If people have taken any offense, we're truly sorry. So that means to say, well, I'm sorry you were offended. I'm not sorry for what I did. I'm sorry that you were offended by what I did. That is what they were saying. The apology came after the Catholic Church in France expressed outrage, saying it deplored the ceremony, which included scenes of derision, mockery of Christianity. That comes from The Guardian, once again, and here is the photo. Now, I think one of these guys, maybe this guy back here, had his junk hanging out. There was kids around, a little Asian kid down there in the corner. It's sickening. To me, absolutely sickening. Ceasefire, very large company based in the southern United States, says we were shocked by the mockery of the Last Supper during the opening ceremonies at the Paris Olympics. Ceasefire will be pulling our advertising from the Olympics, and hopefully other companies follow suit. So what did the Marxist crowd, the left-wing elitists, think of these opening ceremonies? Well, here's Jill Biden. Apparently, there was a Jill Biden in France the other day, and also there was a Jill Biden in Washington. 2 Jills for the price of one. Here's what Jill Biden said about the opening ceremonies.
It was spectacular. The rain did not dampen our spirits. And Casey, honestly, every step of the way, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, how are we going to top this? How are we going to top this? So, okay, so Paris has the, Eiffel Tower, but we have Hollywood and right, and the magic of Hollywood that makes all dreams come true. So I think we're going to be okay.
Let me ask you why it's so insufferable, why all these Marxist elitists are so absolutely insufferable to listen to. Have you tried to listen to Kamala Harris at all? She is awful to listen to. They all sound so condescending. It's infuriating. Colin Rugg posts on X, the artistic director responsible for the Paris opening ceremony says he mocked 2.4 billion Christians with drag queens so everybody feels represented. During an interview, Thomas Jolly opened up about the beautiful responsibility he has as an artist. How do you write a show in which everybody at one point feels represented and a part of this bigger thing, this bigger us? It's ambitious, but also complex because one has to broaden one's own imagery, one's own outlook, and include everyone, understand everyone so that no one feels left behind. I know! Let's mock the Last Supper with a bunch of drag queens. And this is Jesus right here. This is the person they pick to be Jesus. Here he is talking. You want to hear him? I bet he sounds condescending too.
Fait un spectacle où chacune puisse se sentir à un moment donné représenté.
Now, you want to know what? I'm sure the subtitles are too small for you guys to see if you're watching on a smaller screen. All right, Alex Jones has got some points to make about all of this. And we're going to cover all of that in the extension on shadowdavis.com for you all access members. Also, Tomorrow night on the show, we've got a couple of people coming on. Maybe, if not tomorrow night, Tuesday night for sure. A couple of people coming on who are going to explain exactly what was going on at the Olympics the other night from the woke point of view. Not that these people are woke, but they have kind of like Kelly the other night. Remember Kelly was on the show on Thursday night? Kelly Peary, D-Trans Canada Alliance. And she spent years inside the trans community, so she understands how they operate. Well, these two people who are going to be joining the show tomorrow or Tuesday night have been through the same thing. So it'll be interesting and good timing to get them on the show so they can explain exactly what the plan was at the Paris Olympics the other night. Yeah, we're sorry that you were upset by our opening ceremonies, and everybody needs to feel included. You see, that's the problem. You can never... Have you ever tried to include everybody all the time? It's impossible. It doesn't work because some things do not go together. That's just the way it is. Remember the old Sesame Street song? One of these things just doesn't belong here. Mental illness. Look, man, I'm happy to treat it, but I am not happy to enable it. So that is going to be the focus of the show. How we look to them from the other side tomorrow night and what exactly was going on with those Olympic Games opening ceremonies in Paris the other night. The extension is coming up. We're going to hear from Alex Jones. We're also going to hear the latest company to be exposed as woke and exposing their employees to DEI meetings and almost like indoctrination. And you're going to be surprised at who it was. And then we're going to cover what happened in the UK over the weekend during the We Want Our Country Back rallies, which were initiated by Tommy Robinson. So all of that is coming up in the extension in just a couple of minutes on shadowdavis.com. If you're going to be here, I will see you in 2 minutes. If not, I'll catch you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central for another Shadow at Night live stream. Love you all. Appreciate you all. Talk to you soon.